just to give you a bit of, I suppose, a flavour in terms of what our take on this is. If you've got your head around TCF, who was around? Who was in the market back in, when did TCF start? 2006? Something like that. We were there, weren't we? I was working for the FSA at the time, and I worked in their training team, and we did loads of educational work in relation to treating customers fairly, and it was a funny thing because some of the market got it very quickly, and other parts of the market took a bit of time for them to work out. But as soon as you broke it down into almost the mantra in terms of, define what you're going to do as a business, deliver it, fix any problems as they go along, and then that sort of catch-all of just, don't rip people off. That mantra worked for TCF, it worked quite well. And if you think about vulnerability, that same sort of mantra can work quite well there as well. But sometimes it requires you to almost take that step back right to the beginning in terms of, how do I address this and where do I start? And certainly our view, just to sort of give away, I suppose, some of our trade secrets, there's probably a slide about this later on, but we certainly think that culture is important. And okay, that raises the question of what is culture and how do you define it and so on and so forth. But the tone that is set within your organisation in terms of how you want to manage this is pretty critical. And the old thing about tone from the top drives behaviours further down the line, we tend to find is true most of the time. So almost what happens right up at the senior level is critical, and then if there's one other thing that's crucial, it's what happens right down at the bottom, and that would tend to be at the customer facing part of your business, whatever that looks like. Whether it's a bank branch environment, whether it's a contact centre, whether it's a face-to-face conversation between an advisor and a client, whatever it may be, because they're the people who will then tend to come across and have the challenge of trying to work out, okay, fine, what's going on here, and is there something I need to be aware of? Because if you think about the challenges of this, you've all spent the last 20 years odd, not for those who've been around long enough, building risk analysis, building controls and process to manage all the risks in your business in terms of how things might go wrong, and both from a business and from a regulatory perspective. The danger with vulnerability and the challenge of vulnerability is it now to a certain extent forces you to rip up all of those carefully crafted processes, controls, because the FCA now say, well, hang on a minute, you need to look at a case on its merits and then deal with it appropriately. And their view certainly, and if you look at all sort of the independent research, is that an awful lot of problems arise when firms try to sort of pigeonhole people into process and doesn't take account of what the vulnerability is. And you think, well, hang on a minute, this seemed like quite a good idea, and actually the FCA quite liked it from a risk control perspective, and now they're saying, unwind that to a degree. And that's almost a fundamental challenge, and we'll sort of pick up that as we go through.